Hello, Beez Bladers. Welcome back. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different and compare two Civivis that are very similar and decide which one, if I had to choose, would I choose over the other, and I could never have the other one. So you guys have seen my review on the Incite, so I'll do a quick review of the Praxis, and we'll make these two battle it out. Finish him! No, we won't go that far. But I am curious which one I'm going to choose over the other. A special thank you to Budgeteer Blades over on Instagram. Go check him out. He had these made, and he got with Zach Stuff. If you haven't checked out Zach Stuff on YouTube, go check out Zach Stuff on YouTube and Instagram. I'll put links in the description, of course. But he had these Do Something Kind for Someone, a community with a point stickers made, and these are really cool because the knife community is blowing me away. Bunch of great people. Everyone gets along and talks about knives. Well, gets along for the most part. There's always going to be squabbles, but it's a great community to be a part of, and this sticker will be in my next giveaway, the one I'm putting together right now. So that is very, very cool. And of course, you will get a Beez Blade sticker in the giveaway also. So let's get to the subject at hand and give you my review of this bad boy. So this is the Civivi Praxis. And you could get this in quite a few different colors. As of the time of this posting, these are around 42 bucks. And you can get fancy with them. You can go all the way up to like this in the $70 range. For the fancy version, you can get Damascus and different scales. But these, they're still widely available. And of course, I will put links in the description. So I'm going to go over everything real quick for you so we can get to this battle. And I'm going to zoom in and get busy with it. So this is the Civivi Praxis, and you could get this in quite a few different colors. As of the time of this posting, these are around 42 bucks. And you can get fancy with them. You can go all the way up to like this in the $70 range. For the fancy version, you can get Damascus and different scales. But these, they're still widely available. And of course, I will put links in the description. So I'm going to go over everything real quick for you so we can get to this battle. And I'm going to zoom in and get busy with it. All right, we'll get a weight here real quick. Let's see what she weighs, boys and girls. This big boy is 4.385. So about your average weight. All right, I'm going to run through these specs for you. Some of you guys like them, some don't. Well, you're getting them anyway. So we got a total length of 8.34 inches from tip to tip and a blade length of 3.75 inches. Your blade steel is 9CR18 MOV. You got a nice tall blade with a flat grind, and the cutting edge is 3.31 inches with a blade stock of 0.114. So that's pretty nice, very, very nice. The thickness behind the edge is 0.011, so 11 thousandths behind the edge. What do you think about that, huh? What do you think? Your handle length is 4.69 inches, and it's 1.08 inches to be exact. It's an inch wide and 0.52 or a ½ inch thick. So you got an inch by an inch. The blade has really nice forward choil and nice even black stonewash finish. You get caged ceramic ball bearings in the pivot. The handle is G10, and I'll give you a nice close look here at the texturing and the contouring. Look at that. Would you look at it? Just look at it. And I know I'm probably going faster than normal, so I need to slow myself down for you guys. I can get zipping along. Of course, this has been worn. Worn? Carried. Carried sounds better. Got nice black hardware. And these are T8s. I would say those are probably T6s. Yeah, it looks like it. But here is your 9CR18 MOV. You can see right there. Right there. Nice looking blade finish. Just making sure you guys get a chance to look at it. And if you want to take a screenshot, ready, go. Just kidding. All right, there's another view, and if you want to see the scales one more time, there's that. They have a really nice texture. Really nice texture on those scales there. And let's see, what else am I skipping? All right, slowing down just a tad. You get a nice deep carry pocket clip, and it is reversible, so it's right and left hand tip up carry. Your screws are recessed, which is very nice, very, very nice. Got a nice back spacer here that's also G10. And there's a spot for your lanyard. if you so choose to have a lanyard. And see what our lockup is here. Our lockup's about 50%. Get enough light? Yep. About 50% on the lockup. And your liners on the inside there, you can probably see through the reflection. The liners are well milled out all the way across. Let me see here. Put some light behind it. There you go. Look at that. So a lot of milling to take all that extra weight out. What were we? We were less than 4.5 ounces, right? So really nice looking coated liners, which is very nice, very, very nice. And as far as your unlocking, there is no lock stick. And if you look right inside the pivot there, you can see we have caged ball bearings, which is very nice to make it very nice and smooth. So that's pretty cool. Now I've been carrying this for about, I don't know, about the last week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks. And it goes in and out of the pocket really well. It carries really well. I haven't had any problems with that. You know, no grabbing of the pants or, you know, the side of my pockets. No problems in that area. There's absolutely no blade play, no lock rock. And when you hear that, blade play means it won't move back and forth this way. And lock rock refers to if the blade were to move this way when it is locked. It is not. It is nice and solid. So your deployment is a flipper tab. And there's a couple ways you can deploy it. Let me zoom out just a little bit for you guys. All right. So as far as deployment, you got a flipper tab, which you can push button. It push buttons just fine. No problem. It's a little slow. And then you can also do the light switch. Pretty nice light switch there. Now, a way that I like to deploy this one is I like to do the slow roll and just give it a pinch and pull it out and use it. And man, I'm telling you what, the action on this one, look at that. You guys can't see it very well, but that's about as drop sheddy as it gets for a what, $42 knife. Look at that. Would you look at it? I'm not even having to help. Look. I know you're not seeing it, but you're hearing it, right? And how's our centering? Center is spot on, spot on. Now, as far as your detent, the detent could be a little stronger. Let's see if I can fail it. It comes out there, but you see what I mean? It's not popping out. It's not popping out pow in the kisser type. But when you know what knife you're carrying, it's really smooth. It's not a problem, not an issue. As far as your ergos, very comfortable in the hand. Very comfortable in the hand. You guys probably know by now if you watch my videos, my hand's 4 inches here, from here to here, 3.5 here to here, and from here to here is 7 1/4. That's the size of my hand. It's a very comfortable grip. And I'll back out just a tad more. You can see here, utility cutting works pretty nicely. I gotta move up just a little bit because you got some belly going on, but choking up on it, it's got a really nice choke. I mean, I can get a really hefty grip when I'm doing some cutting. And I've done some cutting with thicker materials to test this knife and the inside out, the Incite out, not inside out, to see which one I like better. And the ergos are really good on this knife. So that's another good thing. So real quickly, I'm going to throw a few knives up here just to show you what they look like next to the Praxis here. And in normal fashion, I'm going to do my best to put them up pivot to pivot for you. All right, there we go. So here is the Spyderco Tenacious and the Spyderco Manix 2. You can see they're comparable in size. A couple more for you. Here's the Spyderco Para 3. And another Civivi that a lot of folks have, so you might have this to give you an idea. There's the Baklash, Civivi Baklash. And I'll just do 2 more for you. Here's the CRKT Pilar 3 and the CJRB CRAG, which I thought was going to be a huge knife. Well, thought it would be bigger. You guys have seen that video. If you haven't, go watch it. So you see there, it's actually has a little bit longer blade than the CRAG. Okay, so what are things I like about this knife? Well, I love the blade. It's got a nice tall blade with a flat grind, so it's really slicey. It has really good ergonomics. The ergonomics are good, but it has a really good geometry to the blade. You know, what did we say it was, 11 thousandths behind the edge? I mean, it's nice and long tapered. When you have a nice wide blade like this, the longer the blade, the more of a chance you have for it to be angled and go through thicker material. And doubling up and tripling up cardboard, I went through it and it was pretty comfortable. Gotta say, it was pretty comfortable. As far as the action, this thing, wish I had my camera set differently, but I mean, it's in and out of the pocket. You close it, you use it. Opening it up is just really easy. The action is super smooth. It has good acoustics. As far as sharpness or hot spots on the ergos, there's not really much to say. This deep carry pocket clip, a lot of times the deep carry clips will grab you in the hand. This one really doesn't. It's not there. It's not saying, hey, I'm a pocket clip, which is kind of odd. You got some jimping up here, you know, on the more, not negative, but the less positive side. The jimping doesn't really help me like I wished it would, you know, for my hand. I would prefer it be up here or none at all. It's just kind of in the way when I'm push cutting. You can see it's kind of just in the middle right here of my thumb. And then, you know, this right here, utility cutting, that's very comfortable. You can see it fits the hand, fits my hand very well. So I would say all in all, my biggest nitpick, if I had one, would be this jimping and this whole little business they got going on here, this dip. I don't know. They should have done something different or kept it flat and brought the jimping out a little bit. I think that would have made me a little happier. Really nice forward choil, plenty of room to sharpen. That's a major plus. Thank you, Civivi. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And choking up is very comfortable. Really getting a grip and to do some heavy cutting is very comfortable. I don't have any issues with that. So that's pretty much my take on the Praxis. One of the things I've been doing lately after I review is, if this was my knife, most of them are, a couple haven't been, but if it's my knife and I lost it, and I had $42 in credit at an online retailer or something like that, would I replace it? And the answer for this one is absolutely, I would replace it. So, time for the comparison and the decision between the Praxis and the Incite. How about that? Let's get the other player out here. And the other player entering the ring is the Civivi Incite. So there's a good size comparison for you guys. Look at that. I mean, would you look at it? You know, at first glance, they really, really look similar. I'm going to zoom in there for you. I mean, they look very similar at first glance. Let's go pivot to pivot. All right, now at the time of this video's posting right now, the Praxis is going for around $42.50. And the Incite is going for around $79.50. So this knife is almost pretty much, it's double the price of this one. Now, will that play a role? Well, I have several questions to ask myself, and that may or may not contribute to which knife I choose. I'm not sure yet, and I'm going on this blind. So this is kind of fun. This is exciting. I don't know where this is going to go yet. And you know, part of this is, was this one worth twice as much as this one? You know, considering all things considered. Now, I've already posted my review of the Incite, so if you haven't seen that, go ahead and go check that out. That way you can see all the details. It's got all the details and all that good stuff in it. But for now, I'm going to go head to head with these two and see who comes out the victor. I'll put some specs up here up on the screen, so if you want, you can pause and check them out or look at them later or take a screenshot or whatever you want to do. But I'll put them up there just for a minute, not a minute, for a second for you guys to see. Now, as far as specs, there isn't a whole lot different between these two, as you guys just saw. The thickness behind the edge of the Incite is about 9 and 10 thousandths, where the thickness behind the Praxis is about, it's consistently 11 thousandths. So you have a little better geometry with the Praxis. Or not with the Praxis, with the Incite. Now, both blades are really nice and tall. They both have a nice flat grind, and if you look, they almost look identical if you look at the blade shape. I mean, they look like they are brothers from the same mother. Look at that. Just look at it. They are very, very similar. Both of the blades, they have great finishes respective to their coating. You know, I realize there's different coating. One's coated and one's satin finish, but respective to the finish, both of them have a great, not unique, but uniform. That's the word I'm looking for. Uniform. All the way across on both sides. So I don't have any issues with that. Now the scales of the Praxis, they're really nice contoured G10, as you guys just saw earlier. The Incite has smooth contoured G10. And since you haven't seen this one yet, I'll show this one up close, unless you've already seen my review. But just to remind you of what you're looking at here, these are smooth and contoured. Whereas these, they are contoured, but they're kind of stepped as the contouring, if that makes any sense. But I know you guys can tell what I'm looking at there. You can smell what I'm stepping in, right? Can you smell what I'm stepping in? So I'll show you what they look like closed, because I am now formulating my opinions for sure. I purposefully kept these guys apart. So there's your aesthetics closed. Let me turn them around for you. Now, pocket clip wise, they pretty much have the same Civivi pocket clip. Both of them have inset, not inset, but flathead screws. There's a tad more sticking out with the Incite. And okay, here's one thing of note, and I think as far as pocket clip placement, I'm giving it to the Incite. The Incite does fit flatter in my pocket, whereas the Praxis kind of goes at an angle and pushes the edge of my pocket, on the outside of my pocket, which means the butt of the knife here has to be sticking out a little farther because it's hitting. Whereas this one goes in I kind of like them in the corner of my pocket. This one goes in the corner of my pocket. So Praxis, definitely, I like the placement here. And the placement is because of lanyard hole. Now you have a lanyard hole on both. The nice thing about the Incite is it's inside there. It's a barrel spacer. So if you want, you can put one in here, but there's no hole sticking out or through the scale. So I really like the fact that you can put one in there if you so choose, but it's not sitting out proud like that one. So as far as back spacers and lanyard hole, this one definitely, you know, that as far as aesthetics, that one is definitely going to the Incite. Both knives have the T8 hardware for the body. They both have T6s for the, those are T6s, right? Yeah. They both have T6s for the pocket clip. So as far as the hardware, you know, I kind of like the blacked out look, how it matches the blade, but the hardware, I'm just calling that a tie. It's going to be pretty much the same on both of them. Now, as far as the action and the pivot, they both have caged ball bearings. Now, I could be wrong on this. I think that this one, the Praxis, might have ceramic. I know they both have caged ball bearings, but I think the Praxis might have ceramic caged ball bearings, which might be a reason why this one seems to be a little bit smoother. We'll get into that here in just a second. Let's see here. All right. So here's something I want to mention. Let me back out just a tad. Well, that's the wrong way. All right. So as far as your lockup and disengaging, I do know that I've noticed something here 10 seconds ago, is disengaging on this one is really smooth and it's not rough on my thumb. This is the Praxis. The Praxis is not rough on my thumb. In case you're driving right now, I know I listen to videos when I'm driving, so I'm making sure that I'm saying what you're seeing. Real smooth on the Praxis. The Incite, I noticed when I closed it that I have to give it a lot more pressure to get past the detent. And something else of note here is if you look how far I have to go to break the detent, it's until the flipper tab pretty much hits my thumb. It's all the way down in there. Whereas this one, I'm not noticing that. That doesn't have to happen. So on the Praxis, it breaks up here and then it's ready to shut and it falls shut. The Incite, doesn't quite fall shut. Now, I checked it, you know, I've taken it apart, and to have it centered, it's a tad tighter. It's a tad tighter. It still shuts well, but it doesn't shut as well as the Praxis does. This Praxis is just, it is just drop shutty. It just, so I'm definitely going to have to give that one. I'm very surprised by this. So the Praxis is going to win on action. It's just more comfortable. You know, sometimes I'll sit and flip it like this. And I'll back out a little bit more for you guys. See how smooth that is? And then this one's a little more work. It's not as fun to fidget, and closing it requires more thought. I shouldn't have to use more thought when I'm putting the knife away. So, Incite loses on that part. As far as deployment, you know, they're both pretty much the same. I would say they both have about the same amount of pressure that it takes. Let's fail this one. Let's fail this one. Look at that. So the $80 one that is tuned as well as I could get it tuned, you can fail. I can actually fail it pretty easy. Whereas the Praxis, even trying to, I mean, it goes out slow, but the action is a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker on the Praxis. Now here is one category that I do know the answer to, and that's the cutting. And as you guys heard in the beginning, or when we started this little battle here, that the edge geometry on the Incite is a little better than it is on the Praxis. And it does cut through thicker material a little better. It's noticeable. Like, I can tell. If you give me one and I slide through like 2 pieces of cardboard put together or thicker cardboard, this one does glide through a little better. So I'm thinking that it's because of 2 things. One, because it's a satin blade. And 2, it has slightly better geometry. Not much, you know, 1/1000th. But I'm wondering if this finish might be slowing the Praxis down just a little bit. And by this, what I'm saying is, between the two, using them both to cut cardboard, the Incite cuts a little better than the Praxis, not by a large margin. Now, ergos on the Incite, I didn't notice till I was really cutting through some heavy materials, some thicker materials. But I have to say, the pocket clip is not an issue, but the inside, right here, you see if I can show you, right here, along this ridge, where my fingernail is actually, you probably can't see it. It's actually kind of sharp. The inside right here, along this ridge, on both sides, is sharp, and I hadn't noticed that before because I don't think I had cut anything thick enough, but it comes to a point. So when I'm cutting heavy duty, back here where my hand is gripped, it digs into my fingers, and I would definitely call this whole area right here a hot spot. Now, using the Praxis, I don't have it. The ergos on the Praxis for pushing and pulling, let's see what it is choking up on both of them. I've used both of these to cut, but this is definitely reminding me of what I found out. Is, would you believe I have to give the ergos to the Praxis? This really blew me away because I thought, because of this contoured G10 and carbon fiber, you know, look how round it looks, but the mistake they made was at the top, it's dead flat. It's not as contoured and chamfered as the Praxis. This handle is much more comfortable than the one on the $80 knife. I'm really surprised by that. Now, as far as which knife looks better, I personally think that the Incite looks a lot better with this G10 and carbon fiber. I think it's a much smoother appeal, but it definitely loses on ergos. All right, guys, I've given you most of the information. I've made up my mind, and I'm actually surprised by this, but the Praxis is the winner. The Praxis is definitely the winner. It's got it in action, how smooth it is, how easy it is to deploy. It has a little better detent. The ergos are way better. It doesn't have the looks per se. I mean, it's a very good looking knife. It's not quite, this is my opinions, this is all subjective. It's not quite as attractive as the Incite, but when it comes down to functionality, that's like more than half of the score for me. When it comes to putting a knife up against another knife, I don't care about the other things. If it hurts when I use it to cut through something, that's a big no-no. That's a loser for the most part. Functionality means more to me than the looks. Now, if I end up someday with some fancy knife that I'm not going to be cutting with, well, that might be when aesthetics come into play. But right now, a knife under $100, for me, it's about functionality. So look at that. The Praxis is our winner. I'm kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting that, just because I've had the Incite for quite a while and I really like the Incite. But if I had the credit, both of these knives were taken away and I could only have one of them for the rest of my life, which one would I choose? Definitely the Praxis. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was informative and somewhat entertaining. What do you think? I mean, I know I kind of wish I had bought the Praxis instead of the Incite now that I've been able to carry and use them both. I mean, I'm all about aesthetics, but like I said, functionality means more. But thanks for hanging out. This has been fun. It was really interesting, and I was wondering where my mind was going to go with this, but it worked out. And the $42 one wins. I'm really kind of surprised. But thanks for supporting the channel with a thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate it. And go check me out on Instagram. So don't dwell on the past or the future. Practice living right in the right here, right now. Just stop and literally smell the roses. Keep a Band-Aid handy and don't cut yourself.